Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm looking at Anastasia's Master Palette by Mario, just like everyone else seems to be looking at and reviewing and talking about. And to be honest with you, I had absolutely no intention of buying this palette. I hadn't even really looked at it until I accidentally came across a review talking about it and just how blendable and buttery and quick and easy to use it was and how warm the shades were. So then I had to look at it for myself, and then right after that happened, it popped up for sale again on Ulta and I got it. Here's the palette, and it's actually a cardboard palette, but it feels pretty sturdy. And there is a brush and a mirror. And sure enough, all the shades are super, super warm. And me being very warm toned with blue eyes, these are shades that are right up my alley, but they're not quite as red as in the Modern Renaissance palette. Those shades are just a little bit too red for me, and sometimes shades that are really red tend to make me look sick. So these three shades right here, Lula, Isabel, and Violetta, are the only three matte shades in this palette, which is something a little different for me. I usually tend to like more mattes than shimmers. All the rest are shimmers, but it's a very fine shimmer. I could wear this for work. It's not like your Urban Decay shimmer palette. What I was worried about was, were all the shades going to be so muted and blurred together that you couldn't get enough looks from this palette, and I'm finding that that is not the case. I also worry sometimes with colored shades in a palette, will I ever use those shades? And these two shades, Bronx and Claudia, the olive and the navy, they're just muted enough to where I could feasibly see using these pretty regularly, especially in the fall. Either lightly on the lid or in the corner, or even to line with. I think they could really work. And let's see, Fifth Avenue Marina, I absolutely love. I have that on my lid today. Hollywood, Fifth Avenue, and Paris, you know, the four lighter shades in the palette. Kim is actually pretty fairly light. I'm going to swatch all these on my arm in a little bit and show you. They're just beautiful, and they practically do blend themselves. People are not just full of it when they say that. If you're not familiar with Mario, he is Kim Kardashian's makeup artist and a whole slew of other celebrities. And he did name several of these shadows after his muses. Most of the tutorials on YouTube and reviews I have seen are from a lot of people with darker features than I have. You know, darker hair, darker eyes, darker skin, or if they have lighter skin, they still have darker hair and darker eyes. So I wanted to know if I could get just a decent work look out of this palette and have it be wearable, because the shadows are very saturated. I do have it on today and it gave me a nice warm look. I had to use a very, very light hand, which is fine. So you can get a very wearable look out of this palette for work. I haven't done a super dramatic look, but that will not be hard with this palette. So to start off, I took the shade Lula and use this as my transition shade. I used so little pressure, I almost couldn't even feel the brush. And I just used circular motions and windshield wiper motions and used this all across my crease and slightly above the crease as the transition shade. And then I moved on to Isabel, which is that nice kind of warm terracotta shade, almost like peanut butter from that Peanut Butter and Jelly Too Faced palette, or the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. And I use this as my crease color more in the outer part of my crease and kind of in that outer V slightly, just to give some warmth to the whole color. Not that you really need to worry about warmth with this palette. And then I moved on to NYC, and I used that just in my outer V, and I barely had to get any on the brush at all, and I kind of just placed it there and then blended it out with my blending brush, just a tad, and it was a very quick process. Then I took Marina and just packed this onto my lid. I did a couple of layers of this just because I wanted just a nice layering of color there. And this is where I had to pull out my Naked Basics palette for a highlight shade because there's not one in this palette. That is one gripe of mine about this palette. So I used Venus from my Naked Basics palette to highlight my brow bone and my inner corner. And then I just blended a little bit more. Now at this point, I did my eyeliner using NARS Coconut Grove, and I did my mascara, and I completely forgot about doing my lower lash line. I was going to work and I guess I just forgot. So I did do a combination of Lula and Isabel on the lower lash line, which I normally would have done before I did liner and mascara. I just completely forgot. So this is the look that I got today, which is just a nice subtle work look, and I think it turned out pretty nicely and very warm and just a nice understated look. And I do really like this palette. The shadows are top quality. I am super impressed, and I could see getting a ton of use out of this palette. The shadows themselves are a little bit soft and do give some kickback, but a lot of good quality shadows do. They're just super blendable when you put them on. I have nothing but good things to say about this palette. Everyone is raving about this palette for good reason. It's a great palette. If you want a warm, beautiful palette, this is it. It's great. It is not an all-in-one palette. You need a liner. If you wanted to line with shadows, it's not in here. You need a highlight. I don't think any of these shadows are sufficient for a highlight. So, you know, if you're traveling and you want to bring an all-in-one palette, this is not going to be your palette. You could bring something like this, which has a black liner and a highlight, or you could bring two individual single shadows, whatever your preference. But all in all, it is a fantastic palette. It is beautiful and super easy to work with. Before I forget, I do want to remind you guys about the Q&A that I'm doing over on the latest foundation road test for the Too Faced Cocoa Powder Foundation. If you have any questions for me, that was something that has been asked of me. People want to get to know me a little bit better, and I think it's a great idea. And I'm just collecting all questions over on that video, and I will link that video below in the description box. And I can't wait to see what you guys ask, and I will be doing a dedicated video. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you did so today. I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.